and welcome to another episode of So You Think That Was Good, Do You? A podcast where we take a look back at the films from your childhood and question the absurdity of their universes. It's episode 24, and we've watched the much-loved 2003 Christmas classic Elf, directed by Jon Favreau. It stars Will Ferrell as the titular elf, along with James Caan, Zooey Deschanel, and a bunch of other people you recognise but couldn't name. You know, my name is Evan, and as always I'm joined by two other boys with names. It's Sam and Carl. Are you feeling Christmassy, boys?
Is this only episode 24?
34. Did I say 24?
Oh, thank God.
Did you say 24? I didn't catch that. Yeah, feels like a lot more, doesn't it?
Woo. That would have been a long old year, or a short old year. But yeah, doing good, mate.
We've only been doing this for half a year.
Well, and as for me, yeah, I mean, we have come back from a massive 1 week break from this, and I feel like I've forgotten how to talk in the meantime. So rusty.
Yeah.
I forgot that we were recording. I was saying this just now. I forgot that we were recording up until about half an hour ago. So I had to watch the latter half of this film on 1.25 speed to get through it all. None of the jokes landed because it was all too quick. So all my notes are very rushed, and you've got that to look forward to.
Excellent. Feeling Christmassy, feeling good then. As always, let's get started with a patently shit plot synop straight from the top of Google. Buddy was accidentally transported to the North Pole as a toddler and raised to adulthood among Santa's elves. Unable to shake the feeling that he doesn't fit in, the adult Buddy travels to New York in full elf costume in search of his real father. As it happens, this is Walter Hobbs, a cynical businessman. After a DNA test proves this, Walter reluctantly attempts to start a relationship with the childlike Buddy with increasingly chaotic results. This is Walter Hobbs, as it turns out.
Got nothing to say about that.
Yeah.
Aside from raised to adulthood, yeah, that sounds pretty much like the movie I saw.
Well, he's 36, Will Ferrell in this movie, but he does act like he's 6 the entire time.
He's 36, he acts like he's 6, and he looks like he's about 47.
Yes.
Which was one of the issues. We're going to get into it, I'm sure, but it's one of the many issues that I had with this, is that specifically the romance plot with a very young-looking Zooey Deschanel is Will Ferrell looks perpetually late 40s, and that relationship wasn't quite lining up.
The age he looked wasn't my issue with that relationship. It was the age he acted that made me uncomfortable.
Yes, he was uncomfortable in the other way.
One of many issues.
Because he acted like he was 6, and she really liked that. Also, you said Zooey there. Is it Zooey? I know it's spelt Zooey.
I really hope it's not Zooey.
Is it pronounced Zoe?
I always just assumed there couldn't be a person named Zooey.
I don't think I've ever... I'm sure I must have heard her name said out loud. I just said it how I've read it even.
We'll leave that one to the fans. Hey, get in touch. Let us know. How's it pronounced? But you can only type it. Don't try and spell it out phonetically. Do you want to kick us off then, Carl?
Sure. No. Right, yeah, so we're in the world of Elf this week. And first thing we learn are elves are real. And there is only 3 jobs available to elves.
Shit movie if they weren't.
I mean, I'm open to the idea that they don't exist. I could believe that Buddy just made all this up, but...
This is all a trip in the vein of, what was it, The Frighteners, where we said that was the...
If I were a young boy, taken from an orphanage and given to a single old man, I also would lie and say I was raised by elves. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I'm sorry I interrupted. I didn't want it to get dark this soon.
And we learned that there are 3 jobs that elves can do. That is, make clogs, make cookies, or make Christmas.
Toys.
Yeah.
That didn't fit.
Oh.
Okay, so we're introduced to Buddy, who is the only baby in an orphanage, as far as I can tell. There's no one else in that room.
Oh, well, the sister, this is a nun-run orphanage, it seems, and the sister only really paid attention to him. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I had a quick look in all the other cots, and there's definitely no other babies in that room.
Yeah, and
So-
it was an empty room with just one baby in it.
The Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy had already nabbed them.
So Santa
Well,
comes.
this is what okay, no, I'll let you finish the scene because
Okay, so Santa comes down the chimney, puts down his sack, walks over to grab a cookie. As far as I can tell, he brings no presents for any of the young children. We learn later that
That's not
people
bad.
in this world think that it's the parents that are doing it, so maybe he's trying to keep up that ruse. Can't give presents to kids in an orphanage, can you?
he's basically just stealing scraps from a table. That's his main job at this point.
While he's stealing food or taking food from an orphanage, a young baby buddy climbs out of his cot and into Santa's sack and is accidentally kidnapped back to the North Pole.
And what I wanted to mention is that after this, I think we see the nun walk back in. The nun doesn't seem all too shocked by the fact that presents have appeared and a baby has vanished, which does make me wonder if this is how adoption works in this universe. And they've got a similar system to the Stuart Little adoption system where babies are basically just kind of merchandise that you can haggle with.
Even trade.
Yeah.
It's the Jimmy Savile approach to visiting an orphanage. I'll build you a new wing.
You let me have one of these
I
babies.
left a couple boxes for you.
I don't know how we're supposed to believe that little baby Buddy makes it all the way to the North Pole, because Santa drops that sack down first through a chimney and then lands his type 2 diabetes ass straight onto it. By the time he gets to the other end, that's a bag of leftover toys and a bit of baby bolognese.
To be fair, that actually makes Will Ferrell's behaviour through this movie make a lot more sense to me now.
Yeah, I wrote that a
I've
little bit later.
questioned
I
it
was like, yep.
throughout, but it's all starting to come together. So they arrive back at the North Pole.
Slave HQ.
All the elves are celebrating a Christmas well done, I guess. They're all toasting milk, and then they hear a little baby in Santa's sack. And Buddy emerges. And they decide no background checks, no anything. Just there is an old elf who forgot to ever get married or have kids. So he can have the baby.
It's a very old dude.
It's a
Yeah.
very old man.
This guy was just in it to play that part. I don't really feel like he gave much to this movie. I don't know if he's like a particularly famous man. I don't know if I've seen him in anything else. But he's just kind of shoehorned in for me.
From the very start, he looked pissed off to be there.
Yeah.
I did wonder, right, when it first kicked off, maybe they'd already filmed all his scenes and they dragged him back in to read a book. But no, he is that way throughout. Just bored and tired.
Well, it struck the way that they set it up was as if he was going to be a narrator for the film, but it wasn't much of a narrated film.
No, yeah, he comes back in at the end, but
Yeah. The movie did start in an odd way. We zoom in and he's reading us the story of what happened in this movie. But I suppose at the end you do find out he writes a book about what happened in this movie and we are listening to that. And I just felt strange. Yeah. Who was he talking? He's talking to us, but who are we in this scenario? Who are we, Sam? Who are we zooming into this room?
There's nothing that makes me angrier than a fourth wall break in my totally believable elf film.
So, Buddy is given to the old man to raise. He's raised to school age, which is apparently about 43 in this universe. Or in this elf universe?
Not in the elf universe, yeah. All of the other elves there look like children, but we've got to assume that they are also mid-30s. Or that, I guess, all those drops down the chimney did some work.
Buddy's been held back for a long time. As soon as you can spell elf, you can move on. Yeah, he grows up, and becomes a toy. Yeah. He ages on the outside.
What do those elves even learn in school? I'm just going off, and I haven't read it. I mean, they live an entirely conscripted life. They're either making clogs or they're making etch-a-sketches.
Yeah, this place is insane because, as far as I can tell, Christmas happened And pretty much the same day, Santa just goes, right, back to work, ready for next Christmas. So what those elves do is just slave labour 7 days a week.
This enslaved species.
Yeah, well, they don't get paid because, they're not for jobs. It's not toys, clogs, cookies, and fucking HR, is it?
Mate, what are they going to use money for?
True.
They never leave. They're in the sweatshop.
Yeah. They get Santa dollars they can spend in the mess.
Yeah.
If you collect enough, Santa won't visit your room tonight.
You better watch out. You better not cry.
You better not cry. Oh, was it 10 minutes in? Nice.
So, Buddy is now all grown up, and he's sent into toy making. Well, a mixture of toy making, toy testing, and he's also apprenticing. Is that a word, apprenticing?
Yes.
Sure. Why not?
As his dad's sleigh repair job.
Assistant tinker.
Is that what they call it?
Is that what it is?
Yeah. So there is a fourth job. We just didn't mention it. Yeah. And he's shit at making toys. He can't keep up with all the other elves. They got fast little nimble pay-free hands.
Shit at everything, isn't he?
Yeah. Do you see some of the toys they were making, by the way?
All Disney merchandise, right?
I saw an Etch-a-Sketch and I saw there's a Mr. Potato Head there, right? Yeah.
There was, a Bob the Builder teddy. So these elves are making real merchandise from real companies.
All branded, yeah.
So do you think that Disney just writes a letter to Santa for 8,000 units of their top IP for that year and then sells them at a market to kids?
Disney and other corporations are the aggregator of children's letters to Santa. They pull together the order and then ship it up to Santa. And then he's got his little blistered, broken hands elf children churning out 1,000 Etch-a-Sketches an hour.
So Bob the Builder big in America? I cannot imagine that Neil Morrissey's voice carried across.
Oh yeah, America. I didn't even think of that. I bet they dub
some
over
trivia to this episode.
I've met American people who have said that their kids watching Peppa Pig resulted in their kids growing up and speaking in a slightly English accent. I'm just imagining a bunch of early 2000s kids sounding like Brummy Neil Morrissey. Just half of New York sounding a bit like Sam.
If
your eyes.
My God, because all the kids TV shows in the 90s were Brummy, weren't like Rosie and Jim and Brum and Bob the Builder. Is all Birmingham had a stranglehold on the kids TV in the 90s. So yeah, maybe there is a very small subsection of American population who talk a bit like this.
For all our American listeners, this is Birmingham, England, not Birmingham, Alabama. Just clear that up.
Also not Alabama.
Is it not?
Alabama. That's worse than Zooey.
Alabama.
Isn't that their ex-president?
Oh, should we just stop this now?
Let's just give
come too far.
Okay, one last thing that I want to say while we're in the workshop is that this was all filmed. It wasn't done with a green screen, as far as I'm aware. It was done with forced perspective, and it was really good.
Yeah.
It's just good. That's it.
Oh, it's fantastically done. Same company that made Lord of the Rings, New Line Cinema.
Oh,
and I guess a lot of the same techniques that they used. So, Buddy discovers he's human. Is that where we are? Buddy is
thereabouts,
hanging around in the workshop and overhears the elves saying that he is human and has a massive crisis about this, and his father tells him that, yes, you are human. Santa tells him, yes, you are human, and he finds out that his dad is James Caan from the Godfather movies. And I'm assuming I've mispronounced his name now, so we can all have one. And he's on the naughty list.
Yeah, real shock.
Buddy decides to head to New York to meet his dad.
Yeah. Walks there.
Oh, yeah. I did the calculations on this.
Thank God someone did.
Yeah, no problem. The distance from the North Pole to New York is 3,262 miles. Assuming it was flat the entire way and he took no breaks, that would take him 1,000.
Which it wasn't, because we saw him on a mountain.
Yeah. 1,304 hours and 49 minutes, which is how long this film felt. And he said he did it in a day and a night. So he's not fucking human, is he?
Is Santa human?
I thought about this. I don't think so. He's a concept realised? A god?
That's a bit deep.
He basically is a more palatable god, isn't he? I think.
Don't believe in me, so I can
That's true.
do stuff, yeah?
Very American gods. Yeah, just we're kind of given this view that Buddy doesn't know he's human because he's never seen a human, maybe. But this one fucking got hold of the whip most days.
Yeah, I know.
Do you think we'll get Elf 2 and Santa realises he's human? Same film again, and he goes to find his dad in New York. Oh, in my head, he was a dead guy. I don't know why I didn't say that out loud. Carry on.
Carry on. We're in New York.
We're in New York, and hilarity ensues. We have Buddy the elf. He's never seen any of this stuff before. He's hopping over zebra crossings. He's going into cafes, and he is eating gum off of subway railings. And I physically gagged when he did that. That I can't.
It was horrible.
With that.
Rude. Even though I know that it was a prop with more props, it's still absolutely disgusting. Also, a dubious bit of trivia said that all of these initial scenes were improvised. I'm going to really hope that
real good.
that particular scene was not improvised and he didn't just walk up to it.
That didn't make me feel sick. I was totally fine with it. And now, would you like to hear a classic Evans story?
Please.
Yeah.
Anything to break this up.
Awesome. I was out on a night out in Cardiff a long time ago now. Had a bit too much to drink. Had some curry and chips out of the famous Chippy Lane there in Cardiff. Didn't feel very good.
Love Chippy Lane.
Threw up all of the curry and chips. And one of the chips was completely unchewed. So my friend dared me to eat that chip back up. And I did. It just tasted like curry and chips. Didn't taste like sick at all. Lovely jubbly.
That also means you inhaled a full chip.
Like a seagull, yes.
Which, bit of trivia for the fans, is exactly how Evan eats curry and chips now. Like a vacuum cleaner.
Swooping down, stealing them from someone else.
Yeah.
Well, so we're meant
Wonderful.
to believe that Buddy is acting this way because he was raised by elves.
Yeah.
Well, none of
None
them
of the
are
other
like
elves.
this.
Yeah. Nope, totally normal people. Yeah.
One of them's like a foreman of the whole thing. Dad builds jet engines. They're learning about processors. None of them are hopping on fucking zebra crossings and, I don't know, just collecting leaflet after leaflet off of people who dispense leaflets on the street, thinking they're all for him.
There's plenty of references at the start to him being, I mean, putting aside a 35-year-old man being in a class of children, they make specific mention of him going to where, quote-unquote, special elves go, which is when they put him in the toy testing department. So I think beyond elves, beyond humans, there are some indications that he's not quite up to... He's not the sharpest bulb in whatever it was that I said before.
He's not the smartest knife in the drawer.
Yeah.
So, after Buddy's done New York, he goes to find his dad, who works in a children's book publishing company, and is instantly thrown out. They think he's a Christmas gram. He just shows up shouting, "You're my dad." It's all very strange. Sings a quick song. On his way out, they say, "Why don't you go to Gimbel's?" So he goes to Gimbel's, which is not a store I've heard of, but it's a very Christmassy store.
It's a very Christmassy store.
I'm just finding this hilarious because it's so kind of archetype of elf as told by three bored men in their 30s. He sings a song, he goes to a shop.
I've never struggled through a movie more.
It was difficult. I'm not cut out for this.
We arrive at Harrods. Christmas is ongoing.
It's
But
a
he's
very
hyped.
Christmassy store!
And
Oh, fuck.
this is where we meet Zooey Deschanel,
Zooey, we're sticking
We're
with
going
Zooey
with
now.
Zooey, aren't we?
Yeah.
Jovi, which is
Oh, just
a
an
name I
even
refuse
worse
to believe
name.
exists.
Yes.
Neither of those names make sense.
And
They had two chances, they got it both wrong.
he then spends a good amount of time cornering her, refusing to let her leave,
Absolutely.
just interrupting her, telling her she's wrong. It's all makes me very uncomfortable and makes me think that you are right, there is no HR in the North Pole, because he should be in that room right now.
Oh, he should be right. It's very uncomfortable, the level to which he towers over her and corners her.
Will Ferrell is a very big man,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
a big man pretending
Yeah.
to have a child's brain
Yeah,
who
God,
won't
that's
let
what's
you leave
so
a corner.
off-putting. Yeah, he's so big, he looks so old, and he's acting that way. Like, simple Jack level of intelligence he's putting on.
Yeah.
It's really uncomfortable.
And having that in a whimsical film like this, and then thinking that's a fun little joke is not
In the
great.
making of this, apparently Jon Favreau, who directed the movie, based a lot of how Buddy acted on his 1-year-old child. Which
Why?
just
Right.
does not make sense when you consider the world he grew up in.
1-year-old child.
1-year-old.
Sorry, but 1-year-old children are still just shitting themselves and gargling.
To be fair, I thought you were going to say that he was sending dead rats and used condoms to co-stars like Jared Leto, so that's slightly better.
Yeah.
Just an elf rocking up in New York with damaged tattooed into his forehead.
Why does this cum smell like
I'm
mint?
Buddy, where are you going? You can't leave. So yeah, he's staring at her, he's making her uncomfortable, he's blocking her exits. She tells him to go away, he doesn't. He then starts singing again, and then, when everything closes for the day, he finds out Santa's coming tomorrow, so he decides to decorate the store up perfectly through the night. Building Lego models, making snow out of all the pillows, putting up decorations, looks pretty sick.
Yeah.
And that next morning, he's asleep in the shop, and he hears a beautiful singing voice in the women's toilet. So the Andrew Tate of the North Pole walks into the women's toilets and joins in whilst she's singing probably the most questionable of all of the Christmas songs. Anyway,
Oh.
Baby, it's cold
Baby, It's
outside.
Are you saying she's asking for it, Cole?
I'm saying that the writers of this are implying what I think of Buddy anyway. In that song,
yeah.
it's sort of implied something's been put in her drink. I'm just saying
Yes,
Buddy is
yeah.
freakishly forward.
That song is "You're Not Going Anywhere." That's
Yeah.
what. Yeah.
But
Okay,
I have
good.
to go home. Buddy
No, you
blocks her
don't.
exits. It's cold outside.
Why do elves know what Christmas songs are?
Why do elves know what Christmas songs are? And yet every time he gets asked to sing a song, he just fucking starts singing
Makes
what's
one
going on
up.
around him.
Yeah.
Singing literally everything that he
It's
sees. Yeah.
literally Christmas, mate. Sing a Christmas song. He should be his happiest. This is the time to sing all his favourite songs, I imagine.
But then, how do they get back to the elves? Do the artists send off a recording tape and they fucking mix and record them on the fucking North Pole?
Music artists also don't exist. It's just slave elves singing songs as well, and then some human takes credit for it.
Another number one. until they did the Mariah Carey one, then they didn't have to make any more. Just that one forever.
Oh, the other day, was it Harry was talking about the
very
game of
Christmassy
hearing
store.
Wham's "The Last Christmas," and that's you. That means you've lost the game.
I mentioned this Whamageddon, which is effectively throughout December, if you hear the Wham song Last Christmas in a shop, on the radio, on anything, you're out, you lose.
I went shopping, first bit of Christmas shopping this weekend. Lost that game 4 times. I was only there for 2 hours. It's fucking insane.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I mean, we've got, 2-3 more Christmas movies lined up after this? We don't stand a chance.
No, I really can't stay.
I think you can. I think that's the lyric.
I think you will.
You're not going anywhere. Have some more of that drink. What do you mean, why is it fizzing?
Evan explaining that song is like me explaining this movie. It's a very Christmassy store. Have some more of that drink.
Why does this smell like retinol?
So, after the big misunderstanding in the women's toilets, Buddy is let off with his second verbal warning of the day, I assume.
So lightly.
Store Santa shows up and Buddy is pissed. This isn't the real Santa. He was promised the real Santa. He says that this Santa is living on his throne of lies or something. That's quite a good line.
Oh,
yeah. Like that. Yeah, very good line.
Great line.
Apparently stolen maybe from Lord of the Rings, the book, not the movie.
New Line Cinema just had it lying about. They're like, we didn't use this. You have this one, elf.
Buddy is then shocked to find out Santa's beard isn't real after aggressively grabbing Santa's beard. So that just meant he intended to grab a man by the face. Anyway, but then he and Santa get into a bit of a fight and Buddy ends up pretty much where he belongs. In jail.
Yeah. Yes. Buddy did send his dad a gift just before this, didn't he? Or is that after this? Yeah, he did. I think that scene as well plays in well to your theory, what you're building up here for us, Carl. Because the way that Walter, who is the name of the dad, opens the gift, and then he opens the card with like dad scribbled on the outside. It might as well be cut out of a fucking magazine. And then there's a picture of him and his old girlfriend. This film could easily be cut into like a thriller about a serial killer stalking someone. And there's this guy who believes in Christmas just so much, he's willing to go and do anything to fucking live the perfect Christmas.
Take out the bit where we actually see elves at the start.
Yeah.
And you could start to build quite the creepy horror movie from this.
Yeah.
And we will.
I feel like take that out, and this could 100% be a Shyamalan film where the twist at the end is, no, he's actually an elf. All of that rapey stuff is just because he was dropped down 20,000 chimneys as a child. The only other human he's ever known subdues an entire species into slavery. He's turned out well.
Yes, so he goes to prison and Walter comes to bail him out.
Yeah. Walter, who we are going to be told or shown many times is just a terrible father.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I know worse.
Yeah, I also know worse. Do you know worse, Sam?
We all know worse.
Yeah, sure.
He's pretty good.
He's there,
He's
isn't
there. Bailed him out.
Yeah.
Dad? So,
no, you
Walter
can't leave.
Oh,
Sorry.
I wouldn't bail out my son after he bought me lingerie. I'd wonder what he was hinting at. My sexually aggressive son, who is brought before HR every other day, is sending me lingerie now.
I do want to, while we're talking about the dad, one question I had is, what's his job?
He is.
What does he do?
He's a bookman.
Yeah, publisher of some sort.
I've no
for
idea.
children.
This publisher makes no sense to me.
He comes up with the book ideas.
I don't know.
Or maybe he manages the book. Or maybe he's in finance. Or maybe he's in customer service because he speaks to the customers. He's just a guy in the Empire State Building who does every job in this publisher. Maybe he is HR as well. He's got to deal with all those complaints.
This might show my ignorance, but I always assumed that when a publisher publishes books, that different authors send books in to be published. I didn't think you just had two guys in a back room and you just go, story, now.
One angry old man doing all of them. It's a very Santa's Workshop style of book publishing.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a fair point, though, is Santa's put him on the naughty list. He's not that much different to Santa. He's just forcing people to work. So Walter bails him out and takes him for a DNA test, and we find out that Buddy is his son.
Do doctors do DNA tests?
Apparently they do them in an
Apparently
hour.
on demand.
Yeah.
Yeah. He can also offer psychiatric advice. And there was a kid in there, so he must be a paediatrician. And that's Jon Favreau, director of this movie. Very happy to see him.
I don't think he was playing Jon Favreau, director of this movie, in this scene, though.
Well, no.
Just the way you were reeling off different jobs he was doing kind of sounded like you were implying that he was giving psychiatric advice as Jon Favreau, director of Elf.
As himself in the credits.
Make me a movie, baby.
This movie makes a lot more sense when you realise that he had to split his time between directing and doing DNA tests for people off the street.
Yeah, fun seeing this. I found it quite funny. Seeing those little cotton balls. Sorry.
Oh,
Eating the cotton balls.
Yeah, I thought that was
another thing that just made me really uncomfortable, but cotton balls.
Yeah, but the
freak
thought
me
of them
out, so.
touching my teeth, that's gross. But just popping them straight in, like you would a chip, say.
Yeah, but he didn't steal these off of anyone, so. So,
It's a very Christmassy store. It's all that's playing in my head.
So Walter finds out Buddy is his son. He's a very Christmassy son. So despite knowing nothing about this obviously mentally disturbed man who's nearly 40, Walter's wife says, well, he's living with us then. He is moving in. And this is...
Yeah, she is very open to anything. I guess she just wants her husband to change, and she sees this as an opportunity to do that. But that's all her character really does in this.
Becoming a full-time
It's a shame because
carer.
she is, yeah. And she's from Step Brothers as well, right?
She is. She plays his mum in Step Brothers as well.
Yeah, and she's great in that.
Not
So
to
I'm glad
jump
she got
ahead,
more.
but how much does the dad really change? He don't
I
become a
thought it
carer.
was the
He
same
just,
dad, yeah.
as far as you can tell, puts Buddy in a room at some points and goes, "Story now."
Yeah.
But yeah, he now lives with them, and this is where we learn that elves eat 4 main food groups.
Oh, yeah.
This is candy, candy corn, candy canes, and maple syrup.
Yeah, that made me feel
And
sick.
Yeah.
watching him eat all that made me feel ill anyway. Finding out that they had to film that scene twice because he threw up the first time because of all the sugar.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
And spent a lot of the time during filming of this with massive headaches because he was actually consuming all that sugar. Just fake
All
it.
the sugar.
Yeah.
Don't actually put maple syrup on spaghetti and then eat it. I don't think that's required. This wasn't going to get him the Oscar, was it?
Well, he does it again
He
later
actually
on.
walked from the North Pole to New York.
Never go full elf.
Great reference.
This scene also, I believe it's this scene, is home to my one bit of trivia, which is this is the scene where he drinks the entire 2-litre bottle of Coke, isn't it?
Yes.
3 litre, I'm pretty
With
sure,
dinner.
the fucking size of that thing.
He downs a whatever it is massive bottle of Coke in one, and then does
Coca-Cola. Make sure you say the full brand name.
Coca-Cola.
They make sure to show us it.
Sure. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, John. Coca-Cola, and then he lets out a 10-second long egregious burp. Now
Hang
that
on.
burp
This isn't
was
going to be the
real.
Anaconda guy, is it? If this is the Anaconda guy, I'm
Frank
going to leave
Welker.
right now.
I fucking wish it was.
Oh,
It's not Frank Welker. But that burp was voiced by Maurice LaMarche,
Who's burping
who
the elf?
is a prolific burp actor, having done burps in Animaniacs, Futurama, Pinky and the Brain, Simpsons, and Rick and Morty.
that is a good
Specifically
bit of trivia.
brought on as the guy who does burps.
The things we have learned doing this.
I know, right?
Yeah. I mean,
I love
I've
that.
learned 2 things. That there's a man who
Frank
just
Welker, he does
voices
the animals.
dogs and dogs
Yeah.
and snakes, and apparently there's a burp
guy.
actor now.
There was a scene earlier in the film where Will Ferrell tries to pet a raccoon and
Yes.
it kind of gnashes at him and makes a horrible noise. I was desperately hoping that was Frank Welker. But I can't see anyone credited as the raccoon. So
That's a shame.
And you know he'd be on them credits.
you know he would.
That's his eternal punishment from Warner
It's the
Brothers.
one animal he refuses to do.
Yeah.
He's still workshopping it. He spent years.
Yeah. Anyway, there you go. There's my bit of trivia.
Do you reckon Santa offers medical? The insulin that must be required for a species that eats solely candy and maple syrup.
Well, maybe, they have the metabolism for it, but fucking Buddy doesn't, does he?
Probably explains why he is the way he is.
I mean, did you see him firing off those snowballs? He does have the metabolism for it.
True, yeah.
Man's a machine.
Do you know what made me really uncomfortable? Was when he pulls Walter, his father, into bed with him after this lovely dinner and then tries to initiate a tickle fight. Is that a normal thing in Elfland? The others didn't really seem up for... I mean, maybe Santa's into it, but... Santa doesn't pick on people his own size.
Is there anything he's done in this film so far that couldn't be classified as sexual assault?
True. This one's his dad, so let's bump that up to
Sam's
incest.
getting on board with the theory. Buddy is a fucking criminal. Where were we?
Walter takes Buddy to work for some fucking reason. Oh, he doesn't want him in the house alone?
That's after the snowball fight, right?
I think he does. He initially leaves him in the house alone and he causes enough mayhem and trouble.
Yeah, they leave to go to work. Buddy is left home alone and decides to go and sit outside a school for 5 hours and wait for his brother.
I see what you're doing.
Oh,
This is another
So
lead-in.
36-year-old man dressed as an elf sat and stared at a primary school door for 5 hours.
the evidence is mounting up. Also, the brother, quick note, for the entirety of the film, dresses like a Russian grandmother. I don't know why. He's always in his big old coat,
Massive.
like a little babushka.
Yeah.
So,
Very nice. Very nice word. That's the word of the day there.
so Buddy picks up his brother. They head into the park, and I don't know if these kids are meant to be seen as aggressive. I mean, they're just throwing snowballs, but the Bravushka acts like they are quite the... Thank you. They're the bad guys of the school.
Nice. Yeah, well, he says these guys are trouble.
Yeah.
All they do.
It's a snowball fight in winter. I mean, that doesn't seem too terrible. It's kind of funny.
It's a very Christmassy snowball fight.
So,
Good on.
Buddy on his... So Buddy, with his massive sugar rush, puts together about 1,000 snowballs in 5 seconds and just annihilates a bunch of very small children.
Fires them off like a meth addict, determined to get his next bag. It's fucking crazy. He doesn't let that one get away either. Santa's taught him better.
He never lets a kid get away.
Yeah, there's the one kid who almost gets away, and he just blitzes them from the other end of the park. Yeah. So
Maybe it's cold outside.
he gets, he just gets away with so much shit just because we all go, oh, but he's like a child. It's fine. He's just like a normal child who harasses and assaults everyone he sees.
Lock him up. Where are you going?
So, New York's most prolific criminal then heads back to a very Christmassy store because he wants to see Jovi, not her real name. Probably didn't give a real name because he's fucking insane.
Why would you? Yeah.
Why would you?
Also, that can't be a real name.
No, that's no one's real name. What's your name, Jovi? And we find out that once again he's breaking the law as the entirety of an entire store has taken out a restraining order on him because of the damage dealt to Santa during that fight. We know that Santa got fucked up because he wasn't in that jail cell when he got bailed out. But he was there, unbruised. There's no Santa. Santa's in a fucking hospital bed somewhere right now.
Well, poor Buddy's got PTSD. He didn't know what he was doing.
When Buddy shows up at the store to go see Jovi again, illegally, the guy who is their boss had to fill in for the now crippled Santa. And this is where... Oh, and when he and his brother show up in this store, they do bounce around on a bunch of beds and trash a bit of the store as well because,
Of course they do.
Oh, and they jump in the elevator. That gave me a
Oh,
horrible feeling. If someone was doing that with me in there, I would die. Terrifying.
and they,
I'm really touched, Carl. You okay, buddy?
oh,
Sorry, it's just such a Christmassy store.
and they've shown up at the store because Buddy wants to ask Jovi on a date. And she's up for it. She says yes.
She says yes!
Yeah.
What
She's
the
fucking
fuck?
terrified of him.
Yeah, well, yeah, you would be. Because you see, he starts looking all sad when she
Insane.
says she's busy. And you get worried, don't
I mean,
you?
she's also as gormless as he is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She's got the most blank expression through the whole film.
She says yes. And fast forward next day, Walter takes Buddy to work with him. It's decided he can't be trusted to be at home by himself anymore. And times are tough at work. Walter's under the cosh with his boss. Things aren't going well with the books. He has to get a good story soon, so he's stressed. So he says, can't be dealing with you right now.
Yeah.
So Buddy is sent to the mailroom.
Just before we go there, I kind of empathise with Walter at this point. The start of the film sets him up as a bit of a dick, but we find out here he's just trying to keep his job.
Yeah,
His boss is
he's
a
got
dick.
a family to support.
This fucking guy who's shown up saying he's his son, which he is, but he's also a fucking nutcase and a harasser. Right now, I don't really see him as the bad guy. No one way he's on the naughty list. Because
He's
he
now
don't believe in
just suddenly
Santa.
got to balance being a full-time carer with a job that's going terribly. Of course,
With
he's
whatever
stressed.
the fuck his job is.
Yeah,
With his boss coming in, telling him in incredibly vague terms that the business is a -8.
That's not good, is it,
Okay. -8 for this quarter, whatever that means. Sounds bad though, doesn't it?
Sam? But it's not +8, is it?
It's not. It's just so vague. It's such a vague term that doesn't mean anything. It just stuck with me.
No, it's like any fucking job scene in all these movies we watch. It's the same in Mrs. Doubtfire, where the wife worked as a fucking interior designer or something, and they had that bullshit meeting at the beginning. All you do is throw in buzzwords, and you just watch along until something happens.
It is the Mitchell and Webb trying to do a hospital TV show where they don't know anything about medicine.
There it is.
And they're just like, oh no, give this man electric.
so where are we? Right, so Dad is stressed that Buddy's a bad influence as he keeps committing felonies. And everyone keeps telling Dad he's a bad person. And so Dad finds Buddy a job.
Down in the mailroom, baby.
Very nice of him, I think. He's found him employment in New York.
But he loves work, so no problem here.
Buddy goes down to the mailroom, is massively disruptive, gets drunk, and then starts dancing on tables and just ruins everything for everyone. And the dad gets a phone call about it. He's in the middle of a meeting. Things are still stressful. And he's pissed, and so obviously he's a terrible father. Just the worst.
It's crazy what this guy has to put up with his shit kids. Endlessly interrupting. It's crazy that he can hold down a job with them as disruptive as they are. He's the hero.
Yeah, he doesn't really get angry. He shouts at Buddy a bit now. Tells him he doesn't love him and that he's not his son. But that's just dad stuff, you know.
We're not there yet. And
oh, that's the second time.
I think
right, yeah.
he's massively justified in losing his rag when he eventually does.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Okay,
I would have already.
He's already bailed him out of jail for assault.
Exactly. He's got restraining orders. He's assaulting people. He's harassing people at work. He's kind of stalking this girl. And Dad's sticking by him, found him a job. Buddy has ruined that job in one day. And with no fucks to give, Buddy goes on his date with Jovi. What do we all think about this date as he takes her to a shit cafe and then takes her spinning indoors for God knows however long? And than to look at numerous Christmas trees of differing sizes.
I did like the joke that when he gets to New York, he sees this place that claims to have the world's best coffee, and he goes in screaming, "Congratulations!"
Yeah.
And then takes her there to blow her mind with the world's greatest coffee. I thought that was kind of funny because we've all got a million places near us that claim to have the world's best peri chicken or coffee or whatever it might be. So I liked that.
World's best chicken drawer.
The world's best drawer of slimy chicken. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
Go Perry Cheltenham, baby.
But other than that, this made me just as uncomfortable as all of their other interactions.
Everything about it almost felt like fucking day release out with a carer up until she just kisses him. It did not. It didn't fit the moment. It felt wrong to me.
No.
He didn't really seem there enough.
No, and he kisses her on the cheek, and then she says, "You missed," which did make me feel a little bit sick. And then she gives him a kiss, and then everybody looks away because he's only wearing those tights, and you don't want to see Will Ferrell get a boner as he kisses Zooey Deschanel. And then I suppose the date ended.
A kiss which must have tasted like maple syrup and vomit with his diet.
Oh, and just rotten teeth.
Decay.
Everyone's going to think I get a boner just because I kiss things now, aren't they?
Things.
People!
People.
Women! Chloe!
Oh, shit.
So the world's most awkward date comes to an end.
Yeah.
And based on how the next bit goes, I assume Buddy goes on a very long walk. But back at the office, his dad's office, they've hired a very famous children's book writer to write them a story because they need a story to bring that -8 all the way up to a higher number than -8.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, next scene, please.
No.
And this author is played by Peter Dinklage.
Right.
A phenomenal actor.
Yes, a treasure.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this in a long time, and I didn't remember large swaths of this movie. And when Peter Dinklage showed up, I was like, yes, someone I love. Just surprising to see him in a time before Game of Thrones, when I probably wasn't very aware with him. And then my mind clicked, and I knew exactly what Will Ferrell was going to do with this poor man. And just sitting through it, what it happened. And it doesn't look comfortable for anyone in the scene, and it isn't funny at all. And he does it like 5 times.
That's the issue, I think, is that I get that the joke is not on Peter Dinklage. The joke is on Will Ferrell for being the idiot.
Shall I go through the joke?
Holy shit. They just keep on doing the same thing over and over again. If you want to recount
I
it,
am
then.
happy to.
Yeah, there's
So,
no issue with
Peter Dinklage is in the office. They're going through story ideas, and Buddy hasn't committed a crime in a while, so he decides hate crime is the next thing to do.
He's got a
Walks
bucket
in.
list of crimes.
I mean, what do you want to do while you're in New York?
Hate crime, Santa!
Got my New York bucket list.
Yeah.
So during all this, Buddy's still on the fucking nice list somehow. And yeah, he walks in, sees Peter Dinklage, and many elf-based comments are made by Buddy.
Yes.
Dinklage kicks the shit out of him and leaves. And at this point, this is where Walter has had enough. His son has just come in and insulted the one man that could save his job. And he says, "You're not my son." So other things, and Buddy is left. Buddy leaves, and everyone hates Walter. It's insane.
Yeah.
They just
It's
witness...
completely reasonable what he's done.
Unless everyone else in that room believes that Buddy is actually a fucking elf. None of what he did was okay. And even if he is an elf, it's still not okay.
No.
But Walter's the bad guy. He's more and more on that naughty list by the second.
Yeah. I mean, he should be on the naughty list anyway, because if any of this happens to you, you don't take the man in. You get him sectioned for his own safety and the safety of Jovi.
Yeah, you don't want him around your wife and child.
No.
Yeah, this is... Buddy runs away.
Lighthearted, isn't it?
Such a nice film.
Yeah, I mean, I think it gets a bit lighter from here.
Yeah.
Buddy runs away from home, and we see him, and it looks like he's about to kill himself on a bridge in New York.
It did, didn't it? I don't fit in anywhere, even though you've got a dad that loves you back in the North Pole.
Yeah, I don't fit in anywhere, he says, looking over. And the babushka son comes to get Walter out of his meeting to say that Buddy has run away. And Walter ditches his meeting to find Buddy. This is a perfectly fine dad.
Man is a saint.
For a son he's known 2 days. And they go to look for Buddy. So Buddy, hands on railings, looking over the edge, doesn't jump as he sees Santa's sleigh go crashing into Central Park. He rushes to help. The jet engine that this sleigh has come loose because the sleigh no longer flies by itself because nobody believes in Santa or Christmas anymore.
Yes, it runs on Christmas spirit.
Yeah.
But it doesn't because no one believes in Christmas, even though all these babies keep going missing and presents appear. So it needs the jet
babies
engine.
go missing and presents appear. I mean, we all believe in the super rich.
Blankets get thrown places.
Chuck a blanket on her. It is a problem he can easily solve himself. Like, even though I know he
Is this
said that he
Santa?
can't show himself to people. Yes. But he can just set a minimum child threshold. A minimum child threshold for his little slave elves and just have all of those believe in him. Then he's got more workers, more production on site, and people who believe in him. Well, elves don't count.
But yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, it's pretty obvious that elf feelings do not count in this movie. Buddy's the only one allowed to leave because he's human.
They're not real people.
Because he's too big.
They're the proles.
That's a bit highbrow for this podcast, Sam.
And yeah, so Santa has crashed in the park. Buddy goes to help.
Somehow Buddy knows how to fix things.
He
helps
he
fix
was
the
the
sleigh.
assistant tinkerer, mate.
Yeah.
He was
I
the
feel like that
sort
was
of apprentice.
for about 5 minutes before
Yeah,
he got told
he walked
was...
into the room once, was shown a jet engine and went, yeah,
Got it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. I know I am severely mentally underdeveloped, but jet engines, I'm good with that.
I'm not good with people. I'm great with jet engines.
Rain elf.
Is that something?
Oh, that was a shit Rain Man joke.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm an excellent sleigh driver. Oh, so much cutting to be done.
Yeah.
Leave it all in.
Which is what he said to convince Jovi to go on a date.
So yeah, Santa's in the park, Buddy's helping him. Walter and Michael, I think his name is, the son, his brother.
Michael, yes.
Yeah.
Show up and they're helping too. And then
Santa does nothing himself. He just tells everybody else
He's
to.
never
He's
had
so
to.
used to
he
having
has never had
elves
to do
do
anything.
everything for him. He's got Michael working on the undercarriage.
And then
Just while we're not on it anymore. He's got a sleigh powered by thoughts and prayers and a jet propulsion engine.
he does not have
What
a
the fuck are the reindeers doing?
he does not have a sleigh powered by thoughts and prayers. In America, that thing would fly. That's all they give.
It's Christmas wishes. It's the
Oh!
very good.
Lovely. Oh, no explanation needed. Let's roll on.
So, yeah.
Roll on. I don't need an answer.
And sort of sticking to a similar vein. And then the big bad of this moment shows up, which is the American police, who they're worried who are now just going to murder Santa in Central Park, so they've got to escape them.
Yeah, this was an odd plot point that Santa
Let's
had
call
put
them what
on
they
there.
are. The Nazgul.
Yeah, they basically were. So these are the Central Park Rangers. I
Central
assume
Park
that's
Rangers.
a real thing, because it is quite big, I suppose. But they're just they're dropped in at the end of the movie to be antagonists because who else would be right now? And they were on the naughty
You need
list.
time pressure
Yeah.
and a Lord of the Rings reference. Which I'm going to say that they were, because
Oh,
it
yeah,
felt
sure.
too on the nose for them to not be.
Well, if this is
fair.
New Line Cinema, they would, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
Remember the
yeah.
good movies we did?
Yes.
Some spare horses lying around.
Also, I mean, while this is happening, by the way, there's a news crew outside, which is recording. Everyone's standing outside the park, not stepping foot in it, recording it, saying something that looks a lot like Santa landed, and we're just going to speculate. Instead of going and having a look, just stand here.
Yep, like three people in a row say it was Santa. They go, nope, can't be Santa. The next person comes on. It was Santa. Nope.
You're all
It
so
was
silly.
Santa. Yeah.
So,
There were police around the outside, I think, stopping people getting in, but again,
Okay, well then cut that.
would they
Buddy
be stopped?
Buddy uses his skills and he repairs the jet engine. Sleigh takes off, and the jet engine just gets fucked off straight away. But outside the park, Jovi, not her real name, is trying to bring about Christmas cheer by something for all to hear, as she sings another Christmas song and gets everyone joining in, and turns out 10 to 15 people singing a Christmas song was all it took. That's how dire this world is. You cannot get the Christmas spirit of 15 people. Because I assume he now goes and delivers presents all around the world on that power. So
I think in this universe, presents only go to New York City, because the news that was showing
Santa's book.
Michael reading out of Santa's book only was broadcast in New York, and that was apparently the only kids that were in the book. I mean, look, I've already made some nods towards holy shit, what's the book called? Orwell. 1984. I believe that this is a 1984 universe where New York is a walled off city and this is the only humans left.
Everyone else is dead.
Santa releases a criminal among them to wreak havoc.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so all goes well, and Buddy has either saved Christmas or he's jumped off a bridge and none of this really happened. One of the two.
Take your pick.
And then the end. It then flashes forward, and in what I can only imagine must have been the worst sexual experience ever, Buddy has impregnated Jovi.
Yeah, two things. Firstly, she presumably had to explain sex to him. A man who, eats nothing but sugar and has the brain of a 6-year-old. Let's not delve into that.
That man is going to kill a child.
Absolutely.
Feeding it solely candy canes and maple syrup.
Yeah. The other thing that's probably not worth mentioning is that when his dad, whatever that guy's name was, Walter sets up his new publishing firm and releases a book.
Oh, yeah.
It is a book by a brand new, critically acclaimed author. What? That doesn't make sense.
Well, it's Buddy.
That's a contradiction.
Brand new, critically. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. But, I mean, they've set up their own publishing company. I'm pretty certain he's a one-hit wonder. He just writes about shit that happened to him. There's no follow-ups from this guy.
Today I kissed the lamp and got a boner. Yes, Evan, shifted away from you.
I don't think this publishing house is staying open very long.
No. That's the movie, isn't it?
That is the movie, yeah. Buddy writes Elf.
That is the movie.
We all watched Elf. And I guess now because he's a famous author, he's just kind of forgiven of all his crimes. It's not said, but I assume. He must have had a court date. He was in jail, right? For assaulting someone.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, that would have been a great scene. Representing himself.
That is the sequel they should have made.
I think
Buddy goes to prison.
there's a sequel that they definitely shouldn't have made, and thank God they didn't make it.
Apparently there was a sequel in the works or discussed, but Will Ferrell said no. His reasoning being that it just wouldn't be right for people. Like, people would find it kind of pathetic to see a middle-aged man running around in tights. And I'm just like, That's what I just
Yes,
watched.
we did.
What did you think this movie was?
He's 36. He's not a young man.
No, and like I said, he looks late 40s.
Sam, right at the end. Do you have any bad trivia? Oh, every fucking time. Sam, do you have any bad reviews for us?
Yes, Evan, I do. I got, back on the bad reviews. I'll just get right into them. 0.5 star, written by MimeSex69. This movie is so awful, I think I would rather make love to a coked up horse than watch this piece of shit again. Followed up by 0.5 star by Envy. I hate the elf. I hate the elf so much. I want to strangle the elf. Stupid fucking elf. I want to fork. I want to fork his eyes out. I hope he gets disemboweled. I hate this fucking elf.
Yeah, fair enough. Agree with that sentiment.
I didn't hate it that much, but okay. And last one, and a third 0.5 star. I sorted by lowest scores.
Yeah.
Another 0.5 star by Kimmy. I remember watching this with my uncle, who then cheated on my aunt. That's not why I hated it. I just hate Will Ferrell.
Oh, that's a good one. That might be my favourite so far. Well, other than Jennifer Connelly, obviously.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sam.
Never reach that height again.
Well, I'll tell you what we are reaching, and that's the bloody question. That's the reason that we do this bloody podcast. So you think that was good, do you?
It was a phenomenal segue that just went to shit.
But it's your movie.
So is this me? Did I think this was good, did I?
Did you think this was good, did you? Did you?
I mean, I think from very Christmassy store, I gave away how I felt watching this film. I don't want to say hated it, but I do not like most Will Ferrell movies. I've said this before. I just can't get on board with this weird style of comedy they do, where him and John C. Reilly usually, I'm glad he wasn't here or they didn't do a fucking team-up sequel, but they just play mentally underdeveloped people. Mm-hmm. And we all piss ourselves laughing. Just seemed to be the comedy of American movies in the noughties and early 2010s. Just this and Step Brothers, and it has never sat well with me. I've said many times Will Ferrell's done one good movie and a load of shit I can't. Stranger Than Fiction. I think that's a fantastic film.
Yes, okay.
That was good.
But the one movie that's unlike every other movie he's done.
Yeah. There's always this version of comedy where we laugh at inept people that I just don't get on board with, like the Mr. Beans and stuff. I've never really understood it.
I agree with that.
There's, I don't know, I feel like American comedy still does that a lot more, where we just laugh at a stupid person walking around in a normal world.
I don't know about that. I feel like,
or maybe it's still Will Ferrell movies.
I think that's a British comedy thing as well, to an extent. There's plenty of British comedy that is stupid person, normal. All of the old Blackadder, Fawlty Towers.
Yeah.
The Office is basically that. So there are plenty of examples.
But we always get someone like a Martin Freeman character. I think from Blackadder 2 onwards, they found the humour in normal person among a bunch of idiots.
Well, you're classic straight man, yeah.
Yeah. Which, for some reason, I'm on board with, but as soon as it's the other way around, I zone out. It's not.
Well, I suppose in this you don't have it. You have the silly man, and then people who are just angry at him for being silly. Yeah. Sam, you go next. What do you think of this?
Well, I mean, I don't quite share the same kind of disdain for Will Ferrell. I like some of his films. I mean, I'll admit I'm kind of partial to Anchorman, which I think I'm the only one here who is.
No shame in that, mate. No, I like Anchorman.
Okay, fair enough. But this, it had some funny moments. I think we mentioned a few funny moments. Some of the comedy was all right. I just feel like rewatching it, it's massively overshadowed by all the shit that was not all right, that was really uncomfortable, that was kind of rapey, that was just kind of, it didn't land. And maybe it did land at the time, or maybe our standards were lower because we were kids watching it. I don't know. But yeah, overall, No, I didn't think it was good.
Well, I'm sorry to disagree with you boys, but I really enjoyed this.
Oh, well, I'm glad someone did.
Yeah.
Well, that's because you're our special little elf.
Okay, yeah. I'm the silly boy. You're my straight man. Oh, God. Dropping myself on it. Yes, I didn't really like Will Ferrell's performance. I thought everything he did was weird, and I didn't really laugh a lot what he was doing. But this film did remind me why I enjoyed it when I was younger. It's nice and Christmassy. There are some nice bits that just make you feel all happy, and that's why I enjoyed this. There was some good writing in this. The best coffee in New York. That was a funny joke. I think some of the stuff was intentional. I feel like the photo that went to the dad that looked creepy but wasn't meant to be, that felt intentional to me, to make you question whether or not it was creepy, and that being the joke. But I don't know if that's just the way I think.
I feel like with who the target audience of this movie was, I don't think you were meant to consider it that deeply.
Well, but parents go along. And was this really a kid's film? You know, Will Ferrell's in something. People go to see it. It's like, I don't know,
This
maybe
was
this
Will
was too
Ferrell's
early in his career.
first ever lead
really?
role. Yeah.
Okay.
Film.
Oh, never mind then. Yeah. Straight over
I think-
everyone else's head.
I mean, it's sort of a kids' movie. All Christmas movies are, not all.
Yeah.
Most Christmas movies are at least somewhat targeted at kids. I think it was clearly designed to be enjoyed by adults as well. And I think it's that aspect of it that, yeah, maybe the joke there was that it was a bit creepy, and that was like the adult's joke for that bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I also want to qualify my dislike of this by, as I said at the start, I watched this in fast forward for half the time. So if the jokes didn't land, it's possibly my fault.
I know, I think you'd hate it more if you watched it on normal speed. That seems what's happened to Carl. Also,
Hated it the same, but for longer.
I think I maybe liked this in comparison to other Christmas movies. I am not a Christmas movie guy at all. When Chloe tries to sit me down to watch them this time of year, I just can't fucking do it. But I was pleasantly surprised by this, and I'm very excited for our next two choices, which you will see coming very soon. I think we're done there, boys, aren't we? Unless there's anything you want to add?
I've been done for a while.
Perfect, and I can sense that. Thank you, boys, for joining me, and thank you all for listening. If you'd be so kind to leave us a 5-star review on the platform of your choice, and follow us over at So You Think Pod on Twitter. Join us again next week, when we'll no doubt be shitting all over enemy number 1 of this podcast, Matthew Broderick, when we watch Deck the Halls, which also has the stunning Danny DeVito in. Until next week, everybody, goodbye.
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 And Merry Christmas.